I'm in a season where I'm preparing to transition, to shift how I live, how I work, how I care for my body. And if you're a woman 35 and older who has been pushing, working, managing, carrying, this conversation is for you. Because what you've been calling normal tired may actually be chronic misalignment. I see women everywhere Googling brain fog, fatigue, hormones, sleep problems, trying to fix symptoms without addressing stress at the root. Rest is not a luxury, it's longevity. What if exhaustion isn't weakness? It's wisdom. If this resonates with you, keep watching. Let's get into it. Welcome to the R.E.S.T movement, where we release every single thing. Hey y'all, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of the R.E.S.T movement podcast. I am Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper, and listen, healing is our hustle. Over here, who we at?
You have Sonia, the soul steerer.
Always with the sexy voice. What is that all about? Maybe it's because it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays, it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays, it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays. So come on in and let's get free. Listen. How are we doing? How are you doing today?
I am good. It's raining. The snow is melting.
Listen, and they're talking about snow coming Monday.
No, they're not.
I didn't hear it, but word on the street. So I
Stop
don't
listening
know.
to them people on the streets.
Listen, I don't mind the snow. I just don't want no more of the ice because the ice took me out one day.
Yeah, we don't want
and
that.
we ain't trying to do that ever again.
Never.
I realized this old body don't bounce back like it used to. Like in here, it's bouncing back. But down here, it ain't bouncing back. That takes me almost to, I thought about the topic we were talking about, from stress to rest. And it's just been heavy on me that we might be moving past it too fast. We're talking about getting from stress to rest, but there's some behind the scenes stuff that we need to talk about. What I've been doing is I was researching, what are women 35 and older Googling? What are they asking questions about? What are they seeking answers to? And it just kind of hit home that maybe still talking about moving from stress, because stress causes so much in our bodies. And not only does it cause so much, there are things that are happening to us. Us meaning you and I, women we know, and women even that are watching, that we need to talk about, because sometimes what women go through, people make jokes about. Even when when we're teaching our little girls, when they're moving into womanhood and they start their cycle, and men joke about, oh, she must be on her period. They joke about that. Well, what about the other end of that spectrum, when your body starts changing because perimenopause is coming or menopause is coming? And most of us hear about it. We know it's going to happen because we watched our mothers, our aunts, and everybody else and their hot flashes and all that stuff, but we never really prepare for it. We just kind of do life.
Yep.
So I don't want to just go past that. I want us to talk about that because these women, the questions that I found that people are asking is, why am I so tired? Why can't I sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel foggy?
Mm.
I've been foggy all week, and I finally had to just say, God, I don't know what this brain fog is, but I rebuke that demon because I know you have too much for me to do for the enemy to be trying to crowd this brain out.
Yeah.
And I know, sometimes, but trying to have a conversation and have to pause to try to pull out the word that you trying to say. And the most simplest word is not like I'm looking for some long supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It might just be when or the or at. The refrigerator. Like, come on. Why is that? Why are you? What is going on? And so I wanted to make sure we talk about it because sometimes we think it's hormones. Sometimes we're just saying, why do I feel so different? So your body is not betraying you. It really is briefing you, is letting you know some things are coming. So I want us to talk about that tonight. What women are Googling. They're Googling perimenopause. Again, they're Googling. I made up a new word. Brain fog, sleep disturbances, anxiety spikes, weight redistribution. Prior to the menopause happening, your body starts changing, things start happening. So it's like before the actual, you get those warning signs of, because the cycle's still there, but stuff is happening. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to have perimenopause. My stuff just said, I'm done. And that's it. And then I had a moment. It started being infrequent because I was like clockwork. And it never surprised me. I mean, on that 27th day, every month it was happening. And when it happened, I was like, all of a sudden I got this internal inferno, like heat going on the inside of me. Like, where is this coming from? My mother has passed away, so I don't, and they say that your menopause follows your mom. So if your mom started in her 50s, that's when I turned 50 and my cycle says, see you later, bye. The beauty is I went through menopause probably a couple months. I had hot flashes for a couple months and I haven't had one since.
Oh.
So I'm grateful for that because I remember my mother fanning and air conditioning and everything, but I never had that experience. It's like, what is happening to me? And that was it.
Oh,
now, other stuff has happened, but that one thing I can say.
Gotcha.
So also heart health. So we need to understand, though, that the nervous system, it's overload, long-term stress exposure, emotional suppression, over responsibility. I want to talk about these three categories to really allow it to hit home. Why midlife exposes what your youth covered, because we'll talk more about it, but I'll just give you the 3 points. Why midlife exposes what you covered, how stress accumulated silently while productivity mask depletion. So let's talk about why midlife exposes what you covered. When you're younger, you got adrenaline that compensates for misalignment. In your youth, you know how it is. Your hormones are stronger. You recover a lot faster. Boy, do I miss those days. Your responsibilities are lighter. You don't have the pressures that you have, when you were in your 20s and you didn't have as much. But although you were a mom in your 20s, so you might have had a little bit more responsibility, but you still bounced back. You were very resilient, right? So you still resilient. You still cute. Anyway, the body rebounds quicker. Sleep debt is easier. Staying up all night. Do you remember the all night movie theater on Central Avenue? Oh my God. That was the only I'm all over the place. That was the only time my parents would let me hang out all night before I was, old enough to be really hanging out all night. We going to the all night movie in Hampton Mall. I don't even remember what time it started, but coming out of there like 4 o'clock in the morning, I felt so grown. Anyway, didn't have to get any sleep. And even now, up until maybe about 2 years ago, that I start feeling my lack of sleep. And I recently read somewhere that your sleep pattern is hereditary. And I said, well, that is true because my mother didn't sleep much. 3 out of my 4 brothers don't sleep much. We all are, we can be up late, go to bed, and get right up bright and early, refreshed and ready for the road, while everybody's spouses be like, can you lay down? Because they can get their sleep on. I have one brother that followed my father, who's the moment they sit down, they out. Only one. I'll just tell you, it's your buddy. Just like my daddy. Amen. He would fall asleep with the quickness. But us, my husband will be say, like, you been up all night? Like, come on. When you go to bed? I have things to do. And I can get up and be up 24, 48 hours. Doesn't bother me. Now my body is starting to say, you're not 24, ma'am. And that's why you got brain fog. That's why you're having all these challenges that are popping up, is because you're not resting. And resting is really like the cheat code of having a great life, is getting that proper sleep.
Agreed.
And so, back then, like I said, we could skip sleep, we can overwork, we can overgive, we can suppress our emotions and keep on moving, we can stay busy, and your body just absorbed it. Nothing happened. But midlife changes that equation. Hormonal shift reduces your margin. Estrogen fluctuations affect your mood, sleep, inflammation, all of those things that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about cortisol, because cortisol is a stress hormone. And it is responsible for inflammation. It is responsible for our body changes, gaining that belly fat that we get. All of that stuff comes from cortisol. And a lot of times we blame ourselves, thinking it's just, we're not working out, we're stressed out. And that hormone is trying to protect us. It's supposed to work. It is created to work. But when it's overworked and it's at a high level, it gives us what we don't want. And so we need to really recognize that we are together on this, and start talking about it, and then start doing stuff about it. So midlife doesn't create dysfunction. It removes the cushion. Midlife is not punishment. It's the revelation. It reveals to us what was unmanaged, what was unprocessed, what was unaligned, what was never healed. Midlife doesn't break you. It reveals you. And I am learning so much in this season of mine. Somebody's got a birthday coming up next week, and they're going to be joining me in the same season. 61 and done. Oh, 61 and done.
That would be me.
So my first question is, what do you think your body tolerated in your 20s that it refuses to tolerate now?
I was the flexibility.
Girl,
Flexibility.
isn't that scary?
Yeah, it is. I don't
For
like it.
I used to be able to do, I used to love working out. I know y'all can't tell now, but I'm on my way back to my zhuzh. Don't play with me. I used to do some work, my floor exercises. You couldn't tell me nothing. Personal trainer would be working the crap out of me. I'd be on that floor, bounce up. Now I got to be crawling, trying to figure out what I'm going to grab a hold of to pull myself up. When I fell in the ice last week, no, that wasn't last week, the end of January, my bag with my phones were in the car, and I'm on the ground trying to figure out how in the world, when dry ground is around, I can't get up. Now, how am I going to get up off this ground? And God said, remember that tree that you held on getting up on the curb? That same tree is right behind you. Pulled my little self around and got myself up. But that's scary. Who ever thought you could be on the ground and not be able to get back up? I can still touch the floor. I still can do. I used to be able to. Man, listen, don't start me. I'm starting to get sad.
I'll get sad.
But that flexibility is no joke.
Yeah, my grandchildren, they show me it
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I have the nerve to get down there with them every single time I'm over there, and then it's time to get up, and I'm looking around like, what am I grab?
What have I done?
And why you keep doing this?
Because them babies be suckering you, man. They make you think you're invincible.
They help. They help. Because if they weren't there, guess what? I would never get down there.
And it wouldn't wake you up to maybe there's some changes that need to be made.
Exactly.
So, we talk about this all the time. Awareness, that's your reset. When you become aware, you can acknowledge, and then you can take action. And so that's kind of where I am now. I shared with you, I didn't share with y'all. I shared with you how I got a phone call after somebody from my childhood watched this episode. And they called me and body shamed me. And the old me would have been so in my feelings and so hurt and so broken. And that thing would have sent me to emotionally eaten. So yeah, they might as well call me and said you fat is what they should have said, because what they said was so inappropriate to me. And you don't just call somebody and say something because you don't know what somebody's going through. So their first question to me was, and it just threw me off because I don't even know what it was about. I thought maybe they had clothes for me. They was going to ship here or something because they don't even live local. They asked me, "Hey, Nate, how much you weigh?" And I'm like, "Okay, we in competition? Like, why are you asking me that question?" And then they said, "Where you get all them hips and thighs from? Because your mother wasn't built. Your mother wasn't built like that. You built like your father." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Do you remember Fred's shape? I do not have a wide back, and I have a behind. He did not have one. I am shaped just like my mother and her sisters. Thank you very much." And I'm not telling you how much I weigh, as if that really mattered. But I could not believe another woman would call another woman and say something like that.
Rude, inappropriate.
I could not believe it. It just didn't make sense to me. One, because what if I was struggling and that created sadness or depression for me? What if there was something, medically wrong with me that I'm gaining this weight? Maybe I'm on steroid medication because of some disabling disease or something. You just don't do that. So women, let's not body shame each other. We all know maybe when you're 35, you're just starting this journey out, this 35 and older journey, and you may not be experiencing some of those things that those of us who are in our mid 50s, 60s, 70s are experiencing. And yes, we can be on social media and we can see some women in their 60s and their 50s in top shape, and we don't know anything about what they're doing. We only know what they show us that they're doing, and they say that that's what they're doing. We never know. Some are truly in shape. I'm trying to get there. I'm back on my grind. I'm back on taking care of my body. I really had a conversation with a guy, and thankfully it didn't come from this person calling me and saying that. I had already decided that I'm getting ready to move into my next. Mm-hmm. And in my next, the things that God is revealing and showing me that he wants me to do, that he's going to give me an opportunity to do, this vehicle got to get it there. And so this vehicle got to be in better condition in order to do that. So that flexibility, working on that, building that up, all of that. Because I do want to be able to sit like you, want to be able to sit on the floor and trust that when I get down there, I don't have to say, "Oh, I fell in the laundry room the other day." Did I tell you? I've been clumsy forever. I'm sorry. I'm not claiming it, but it's the truth. I'm clumsy forever. There are a few of us in my family have that clumsy gene. You just fell in the ice last week. You're doing physical therapy trying to get things back order. How are you tripping in the laundry? Thank God I had the comforters in there on the floor to wash. And so I fell and was leaning to the side. Called Marco downstairs. He come downstairs and I'm handing him the towels and said, "Just take the towels. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get up, but don't go nowhere." So he's pacing back and forth and I'm, moving my leg. I'm trying to figure out now I'm grabbing the door jamb to see if I could pull myself. And all of a sudden he bust out laughing so hard because he was moving around because he was trying not to laugh. When he started laughing, I almost peed on myself because then I started laughing. I told you that I've always done that. So I told him, son, I taught you well. I taught you well. I'm glad you laughed because you making me laugh. So he holding the towels with, that's how strong he is. He holding the towel with one hand. I'm on the door jamb, pull it, and I reached up to grab his other hand and he yanked me up. That thing was so funny to me. But I'm thinking to myself, if he wasn't he, yeah, my husband could have pulled me up off the floor, but he would not have heard me saying, help. He's way on this end of the house. I'm on that end of the house. Help. And I would have been short. He would have been sleep the next morning, not even realizing I'm not upstairs. So I'm glad he was there. So again, we talk about it reveals what was unmanaged. It reveals what is unprocessed, what's unaligned, what was never healed. Mm-hmm. Midlife doesn't break you. Again, it reveals you. And we talked about, and I agree, flexibility, stamina, being able to just run up the steps and run down the steps, do stuff quick. Mm-hmm. Sometimes making a turn and all of a sudden I'm off balance. Like, what is that? I'm getting all that back. Y'all just wait and see. I might have an episode when I'm doing some push-up. Wait a minute, I'm going too far. I might have an episode when I'm doing something I can't do right now. Don't mess with me. So the second thing I want to talk about, how stress accumulated silently. Stress rarely explodes. It's layers. It's layers. Think of like sediment at the bottom of the river. It sits there until something agitates it. It's just layers of stuff piled up. Little bit of disappointment, little betrayal, little responsibility, little sacrifice, little overextension, all of that stress. Each one of those feels manageable, but over the years, it starts to compound because at some point, because you're so accustomed to doing it, at some point, your body can't no longer handle it. You don't have the hormone levels that you used to. Your hormones not functioning the way. Your cells, even though they reproduce, your system that's reproducing them is an old system. You think about your heart and how many times and how many years it's been beating, although our cells replicate and, it's like it's recycled and processed out and new stuff is regenerated. We can't count on that. But the good thing about that is if we just make little small changes, there are things like our gut replenishes. That's why when we do those cleanses and those things, it feels like, wow, because your gut rejuvenates. Those cells slough off and you get new ones. But you gotta put the right stuff back in it. I just heard something last night that I had never heard called fecal transplant. Sounds disgusting, doesn't it? There is a infection that you can get in your gut called C. difficile, or you'll hear it abbreviated as C. diff. And if not treated, or if the treatment is ineffective, it could cost you your life. And this GI doctor was on a podcast I was watching, and he was saying that he's done a lot of fecal transplants. Well, that's feces. Taking feces that has good biomes, has all of the flora and all of the healthy stuff that it's supposed to have. In the same way he does a colonoscopy, he takes it and he takes it through the large intestine, and right when the small intestine begins, that's where he inserts the healthy fecal matter. It changed instantly. The infection is gone. Can you imagine? It's gross. And he said he's seen on the internet, wow, people talking about they've tried that at home. He's like, please, people. I'm thinking to myself, whose mess have you tried to put in your own mess? That's disgusting. Keep it to the professional. Oh, disclaimer, God. Don't try that at home. But know that there's such a thing. Can you imagine? But I would rather just fix my own flora, fix my own, gut. I'm working on something. So let us all be working on something. Each one of those things, again, are manageable. Over the time, it compounds and it gets worse. Women are especially conditioned to endure quietly. We absorb emotionally. We be the stable one all the time. Put self last. We know how to do that all the time. Even now, like I think I shared, when I'm preparing meal and we're not all eating together at the same time, make sure everybody else get their plate. Now, I'm the one that might have been in there slaving, but if there's not but a drop left, they don't ever do that. But if it were, I'd be okay with that because I've always wanted other people to be fed and wanted people to, have what they need. I'm all right. I can find a little bit of anything to eat. So our nervous system adapts to constant activation. You don't feel the stress anymore. You start to make that normal until your sleep breaks or your weight shifts or your anxiety starts spiking, or like I've been experiencing, brain fog appears, or your irritability increases. That's not stress. That really is the stress that's demanding attention because that cortisol release is extra. And we got to get past that. Stress, again, is cumulative. Your body keeps receipts. Chronic stress doesn't scream, it settles. My question is, so we have been talking about stress, and since you said before that you didn't really realize you were stressed, what were some of the subtle signs you now recognize in hindsight might have very well been your body telling you stress is on the rise, or stress is present? It's in the room. Can you think of something?
Maybe migraines. Maybe a tightness in my shoulder and back area. Physically, those are the things that I can relate to stress that I might have just looked at as it just happens. And eating when I wasn't hungry and asking myself, saying, you're not even hungry, why are you eating that? And then have to revisit what might have just happened and to cause me to do that.
And I'm sure a lot of you identify, because I certainly identify with that. I am in tune with stress, but sometimes I would allow my emotional eating to overcome my knowing better. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say, stop saying when you know better, you do better, because that's not true. You know better, you do better when you choose better. Because I know a lot of stuff that I'm supposed to be doing better, and I wasn't doing it. Now I'm more conscientious. I make sure those temptations are, further away from me. There is no having that in my room, so that when I want it, it's right there. No, I got to physically get it. And sometimes I'll put it all the way in my basement, so I don't have access in my kitchen until I have overcome my willpower and able to say, you have to consider yourself. And so I am determined in this season. I am determined that I've got to do better. I read something the other day, and it was so powerful, and how America was telling us the way to eat was low fat. And what they did was they caused us to eat low fat, and they increased the sugar in foods so that we would crave it more. They told us the salt was no good for us, but we're made up of salt and water, and salt is what balances everything in us. And so we got rid of the salt, which helped us crave sugar more. And then we went from being healthy and having bodies that were functioning to now inflammation up the wazoo, hypertension, and all of these things. And so, now people are going vegan, but our body needs protein, and you got to make sure that your body has everything it needs. And so we got to be careful. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is why productivity masks your depletion. Productivity, we've been talking about a lot as it relates to women, that is socially rewarded. When we do extra, people have great things to say about us. And then at the end of it, we're the social butterfly, but we're the one who entertains, and we're always having people over. And we talked about, how we host things and can't even enjoy the party because you're so busy running around. Mm-hmm. But people love that because they're being entertained. They're having a good time. But at the end of the night, you may have a good time in your heart that everybody else had a good time, mm-hmm. but you can't even remember anything about the party other than everybody else seemed happy because you were serving, you were running around. Yeah. And so productivity is socially rewarded, but is not the right thing. Let's stop doing that to ourselves. especially for strong women. If you're working, you're leading, you're showing up, you're serving, you're achieving, no one questions your wellness. That popular saying now, check on your strong friends. They're finding in the NFL, and this came from one of the NFL guys said, check on your strong friends, because many of them are starting to commit suicide. And people like, I just talked to them. I was just talking to them. They seemed happy. We were making plans, and then they take their life. We have to check on our strong friends, and let's stop showing up like we have to be strong when we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to perform when we don't feel like it. It's okay to tell the truth and be okay with it. You can be efficient and still be exhausted, accomplished and still being anxious, successful and spiritually dry, busy and emotionally numb. Adrenaline fuels output. You know, the more you want to produce, that adrenaline gets you going, right? But adrenaline doesn't provide peace. So we got to get past that. Some of the other things that I found was many women don't realize they depleted because they're still functioning. Functioning is not the same as flourishing. Output can hide internal deficit because we're not paying attention. What we were doing when we were younger and able to do that and get away with it, our bodies are now saying, and we just ignore it. You know, we don't even when our bodies gives us signals that something is wrong, it almost has to sometimes take us completely out for us to get it checked. I don't know why we do that.
Some people do it for fear. Some people do it because they just keep putting it off and said, I'll get to it later, but I got X, Y, and Z to do this week. You know, different things come up and they don't uh, put their selves first. They're not prioritizing that. If they don't get that fixed, then nothing else is going to come together.
Have you ever been at your most productive and but internally feeling your worst?
I don't think so. I don't think I could do it. I'm not made like that.
I'm the exact opposite. I
Okay.
could be at my worst and you will never know it.
Yeah, it's hard to get something good out of me.
Always be the performer. Get it done.
Yeah, you
And
know.
and that adrenaline, and again, for years I could do that, but now stop it. You know, you don't want to do it, you're not doing it. You're not up to it, you're not doing it.
Good.
You don't have to be everywhere for everybody doing everything.
That's good.
No means no, and that's it.
That's not a bad
And
word.
learning to say, because I did a post the other day, no is a complete sentence. But I also recognize that sometimes I have to tell myself no first. I'm telling them no, but if I don't tell me no first, because I really want to do it, but what's going to be the cost?
Right.
You know, you got to count up the cost. What is going to be the effect of me doing this?
That's good.
Because last time we were talking about rest and recovery. I don't want to live in recovery mode because it's temporary. We got to get to a place of rest. Good segue in. I forgot this was the next thing we are going to talk about again, rest and recovery. Because recovery we talked about is vacation, is taking off, sleep after some burnout. But rest is when your nervous system is calm, when your body is just relaxed. You can feel it in your shoulder. It's why many people who are coaching you through things will tell you to take a deep breath. You know, breathe in and breathe. So, and when you first start doing, you think it's ridiculous, like, oh my God, that is not going to help you anything. And you want them to just get on with whatever it is you're there for. But when they pause you and you really, what you're doing is giving your body oxygen and getting out carbon dioxide, the poison part. But you're not realizing your brain is getting oxygen. Every time your red blood cells that's in your body, every time your heart is pumping, those red blood cells are going around feeding everything. And what are red blood cells carrying? They're carrying oxygen. So when you really take those deep breaths, and I've been learning to do that more if I'm starting to feel anxious or overwhelmed about something, just pause and take some deep breaths. It resets your brain because your brain is like, oh, thank you. I was feeling a little bit deprived. So thank you very much. So note to self, keep doing that. A rest also gives you emotional release. It gives you a boundary reset. It helps you get realigned and get in alignment. When you are resting, God can speak. He's always speaking. I guess I should say when you rest, you can hear because he's always speaking.
Right.
We just not listening. And recovery won't even necessarily allow you to listen. You can recover physically and still be internally strained. Rest is proactive. It's doing something intentional. I am resting. I'm turning off my phone. I put my phone, I was listening to a book earlier and put my phone on do not disturb because I hate when I'm listening to Audible and everything, bing, bang, bing, it keeps stopping it while I'm listening. And so let me put my phone on do not disturb so much that I forgot until I got home, was wondering why my phone hadn't rang. I haven't got any messages because you put it on do not disturb. And it felt kind of freeing. I actually felt good that I wasn't every 5 minutes hearing my email is coming, somebody's texting me, some game is coming up trying to tempt me, or Facebook, or somebody's trying to tempt me to do something different.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. 9:00, I'm done.
Well, aren't you cute? I was doing it at night with certain people, like you are one of them, who gets permission to break through. So I put it on do not disturb, but there are like 5 people who have permission to text me through it, because if something happens, I want to hear from them. I want to know, that they're okay. But other than that, I got to so thank you for bringing that to my attention. I need to turn mine back on because it's set for the time. I just turned it off. We're not doing that right now. I haven't been doing that in a while. Recovery, again, is reactive, but rest is proactive. When we don't want to react, we don't want to recover because something is happening and, I need to get a break. These people are driving me crazy. Well, I need to go on vacation because these children or these grandchildren are driving me nuts. My husband getting on my nerve. I'm going on a girl trip. Yeah, that recovery is fun, but you're coming right back to your husband. So if you don't learn how to rest in place, create, even if chaos is going on the outside, peace should be happening on the inside.
Yeah, it should.
So when we think of that, it goes right to the 4 pillars of the rest movement. The 4 pillars of the rest movement: reset, reboot, reload, restore. When we talk about reset, we keep talking about awareness. That's your reset. Sometimes you got to do that many times. Your reboot is the interruption. It's interrupting. You've pressed reset, so it's interrupting all that stuff that you need to get rid of. It's how you get your rhythm coming back. That's your reboot. Reload is that's your refilling. That's where you get your true identity. Because understand that if you hit reset and God is speaking and God is allowing you to reboot and to get that interrupting that pattern, interrupting those things that you weren't creating boundaries, interrupting those things that were really holding you hostage to a life that he never intended for us to have, to stress levels that he never wanted us to have, living lives that, that aren't free. And that's what that is what all of this is about, getting to a place of freedom. I've told you all about this move I'm making. I've already resigned from my job. My last day is 30 days from today. 30 days from today. This Freedom Friday is really a Freedom Friday because I'm counting down. And because I was obedient to God and did it, opportunities that I wasn't expected are coming my way. And I have to get me. I have to make sure I'm ready and I'm straight. I have to not allow myself to fall back into old patterns and old habits. This reset is pivotal. This reset is mind blowing for me, because never would I have expected to be in a place where I would have even said yes to God, yes to his will for this. And I'm excited for it. I had a person I met last week, not that I met them, but we met up to meet. And she was coaching me. She's been an entrepreneur for 20 something years, and she was coaching me about something. And she asked me, she said, the one thing that new entrepreneurs struggle with is the fear of the unknown. They're accustomed to their every 2-week paycheck. They, money comes and goes. And, so I want to speak to that and I want to make sure that, because I'm going to walk with you and walk through this with you. And I want you to know that it's okay. And I said, can I tell you something? My fear is I don't have any. It's like, am I going into this crazy? Because I have no fear whatsoever. People have asked me questions. People have said, "Oh, I'm excited for you. I know you have done this." And no, I haven't. When God said do it, it's been in my brain ever since. And it's opened me up because I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's opened me up to things that I would never have imagined to be doing. Opened me up to opportunities. He's taken fear away in places and things that I was apprehensive, scared even. I can't do that. Now it's like, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Because if God gives vision, we've been talking about that. He gives provision. There's nothing that he won't provide, nothing he won't do. And so, again, we reset to be aware. We reboot to interrupt those patterns so you can get your rhythm back. It's nothing like having your rhythm back, even when you're a little rhythmless. Reload, refilling, getting that true identity back. Remember, I told y'all Myron Golden, y'all can look him up. I love his teaching. He talks about the my identity, the identity, the my identity, and the lie identity. And the only true one is the identity, the one that is you're identifying what God says you are. And that's with that reloading, that refilling, you're getting your true identity back because God is the one who's reloading stuff back. And that's what this movement, again, that's the 4 pillars of this movement. And then restored. That's that wholeness. That's that alignment, your peace being restored. And the kind of peace that gets restored is the perfect peace that God gives because now your focus is different.
Right.
You're focused more on him and the things of God. We have these conversations and I love when you just begin talking about your relationship with God and your focus and how you're sold out. The SOULED sold out. Not the SOLD sold out. You could be both, but just, your mind, your will, and your emotion, you try your best to keep intact so that your spirit man stays so connected to him and pleasing him. And it's so refreshing when you start talking. I don't never tell you that. I just like listening to you because you be like, girl, because I'm just nodding. Just listening. You'll call me about something you're trying to get through. And before you finish talking, you kind of really just talked yourself out of it. Or talked yourself through it. And I'm just listening. She be stirring up stuff. Don't even know she's stirring up stuff. Stirring up her own soul. But I get excited about it. So that recovery is temporary. You don't need another vacation. You need internal permission to say yes to you.
Mm.
If you say yes to God, you're saying yes to you. If you say yes to God, you're saying yes to you because he created you fearfully, wonderfully, and marvelous is his works when he looks at how he created us. We're his best creation.
That's true.
Recovery just fixes fatigue, but rest fixes alignment.
Mm-hmm.
That divine alignment. I'm telling you, when you get in alignment with what God wants for you and what he's trying to do for you, there is nothing like it. How are we on time?
Yeah, it's about time to say bye-bye. We got 2 minutes.
Girlfriend had a long day today.
A long week.
Yeah, I know that I know that the enemy is going to challenge me these last 30 days because he's been, kind of showing me what he's setting up, but he keeps forgetting I know how to command my day. he keeps forgetting that I know how to say, okay, God, this is the kind of day you and I going to have. I will accept all challenges. If you see an area where, you want to teach me a lesson, I'm open. But please don't let him think he the one doing stuff. This me and you. We're not inviting him to the party, okay? Because I don't need no permanent damage, because that's what he be trying to do. We're not doing none of that. You can rest your body and still strain your soul. With that being said, what would you now say is the difference between taking time off and truly resting? Or what you know now about recovery versus rest?
So there's two different things. So you can take time off because you have some things to do. You have some goals, some errands, right? Or you can take time off because you want to disconnect and, like you say, realign and just rest your soul and your spirit, and not do anything. And I think we talked about before, I used to feel guilty, and I have no more of that guilt. I enjoy, and I don't have to have anything on. I don't need any other stimuli. I can be in a quiet place as long as it's quiet and I can hear clearly when I need to hear, and I can rest. And resting for me isn't always laying down. It's just being in a space of peace, where I can roam through my home, have a cup of coffee, sit down, do some reading, just kind of command my day with the things that I want to do that aren't taxing for me, where I'm not on somebody's schedule, or I have to make sure this person gets this note, or I call. Just me. A me day or me week. I'm into weeks now.
Well, excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not into days.
This
short.
is your month. So, you can have the whole month to yourself.
Absolutely.
It's that internal permission is what I'm hearing you talk about. It's that internal permission. It's not that recovery, that fatigue, that external fatigue. It is this inner permission, this internal permission that gives you that rest. And that's what we all need. We need that internal permission. It's like me saying no to myself first so that I'm able to say no to them. I got to do some internal work first in me so that what you see come forth is because the work on the inside, it's like, you go somewhere and you really pour in, you do this work, and when you come out, people are like, where you been? Oh, I went on this retreat, and this retreat wasn't just all fluff. It was really digging in, making sure that when I come out, things would be different. So we got plenty to talk about. You see my stat. We have plenty to talk about. We're going to continue this conversation more about the different stress to rest issues that women have. We started this conversation talking about perimenopause as one of those things, and a different hormone. We didn't get to talking about cortisol. I gave you a brief snippet about cortisol, but we need to really focus in on stress. I want you to identify it. I want you to see when you feel tension, like she mentioned. I used to get tension in the shoulder, and my shoulder would rise and it would be hard as a brick, and you could see it. It was almost like my shoulder saying and took itself up there. And now I'm just as mushy on my shoulder, but I'm getting ready to beef that up. Don't judge me. When I say mushy, it's because my shoulder ain't all tensed up. Your body will tell you. Just start paying attention. It's time to do that. You cannot afford to spend one more day not paying attention to the warnings that God is allowing your body to give you. Because there are people who did not pay attention and they're no longer here. And we don't want that for you, like we don't want it for each other. And so we're in this community together. We're in here to fight everything that we need to fight together. You're not in the fight alone. That's why we talk about these things. Make sure, and I didn't say this at the beginning, make sure you subscribe. Take the time to subscribe Take the time to share this content. If you enjoyed the conversation, and even if it didn't hit home for you, it hits home for one of your sister friends. Send it to them so that they can have an opportunity to know that we're going through the same things. We're talking about these things because they're important for us to talk about. We're talking about these things because we don't want to stay stuck. We want to get to that place of reset. We want to get to that place of rebooting. We want to get reloaded with the right stuff, and we want to be restored. And resetting may have to take several times. You might have to keep hitting that button until you get it right, but it's okay. We're human, and God loves us, and He wants us to thrive. He wants us to do well because that's the kind of God we serve. And so, we love you, and there's nothing else you can do about it. We'll see you next Friday for Freedom Friday, where we'll keep this conversation going because healing is our hustle. See you later. Bye. Thank you for watching the R.E.S.T Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.